There we are. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the Rich Girl series today. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you. I know that for some of you, you're experiencing a holiday today. It is Labor Day. And for some of you who are joining us later on the recording, just thank you so much. Love your comments. Love it when you come on. Today, we're going to be talking about someday if this is going to be funny. Okay, someday if this is going to be funny. I think it's perfect for what's going on in our world right now. But today is Labor Day, and it is a national holiday, and we definitely honor the working class. In the 1800s, workers in many cases had very long hours, very little pay, really terrible working conditions. And President Cleveland put into law laws that helped protect the American worker. So, therefore, the first Monday of every September, we celebrate and honor that, which was a great thing to do. And you know what? One of a kind worldwide at that time. So I'm glad to have you on, Jillian. Really great to have you, my friend. Thank you so much. Love having you on. Thank you, thank you. And I really love our topic today. So as we are talking and we're talking to you and telling you about a couple of things that I've discovered, I would love to hear your comments. So the first comment, the first question to ask today is, have you ever, and of course you have you ever had the experience of something that happened to you, okay, or you observed something that at the time was not funny? Actually, I can think of something that Jillian told me one day that just popped into my head just now, that at the time wasn't funny and maybe even embarrassing or out of character, or something happened that had a very unexpected outcome and maybe took you by surprise. But later on, when you told someone about that experience, you just laughed with delight. Of course, that's happened to you, right? So today, we're going to be talking about humor and laughter. And so I want to ask you if you've had this happen. Of course you have. So comment in the box, maybe just a tiny bit about it. Love to hear. So I ask you this someday because if it is going to be funny, if whatever your experience someday is going to be funny, let's see if we can't make something funny faster. Okay, right. What lessons have you learned from something funny? When did it get funny? So type that into our session today. When did it get funny? If we can work on getting something funny faster, oh my goodness, can you imagine the stress and anxiety that we're going to just get rid of? Yeah. So, humor. When you laugh at the world, the world laughs with you. But when you cry alone. Okay, who said that? I hate him already. Right. So laughter is a way of making things so much lighter. It's a great release of what? It's a great release of energy. And it will, that it starts up creativity. It really does. Because when you're laughing and you're humorous, you get those creative juices just moving in your brain. It also allows tension to be kind of pulled out of your body. It's just good medicine, right? It's good medicine. And you know what? It'll help you also get untired real fast. Have you experienced that? Of course you have. We're really drawn. We're drawn to laughter. When we hear laughter, we're curious. And some of us just want to be like, woo, I want to be a part of that. What's going on at that table? Sit me over there. We are really drawn by laughter. And we were born to laugh. We're one of the few creatures on the earth that can laugh. Laughter is really good for your soul, don't you know? So, question again is, what do you also find humor in? What do you laugh about? What makes you giggle like a school age kid again? What makes you giggle? What makes you laugh? So I'm going to see how you're doing down here. And Pat, thank you. Oh, I love it. I love. Well, Pat, we're going to be talking about a couple of stories that I'm going to share with everybody, because it seems like, I don't know, in my world, seems like things happen, or I am an observer of things happen, and I've got a few stories to tell. Hi, Carol. Hi, Aquila. It's great to have you on as well. Okay, now you guys, seriously, we do live in a serious world, and it's getting more serious all the time. I came home the other day from the grocery store, and I told my husband that I had decided when I went to the grocery store that I was going to smile at everybody that I passed. And I came home and I reported to him that I smiled at everybody I passed, but no one smiled back at me. And Mike's response was, well, how do you know? They're all wearing face masks. Okay. Hey, you know what? Sometimes we see something we don't want to see, right? Okay, I brought a few friends in back here. They're all wearing some face masks. A few of my friends, they're there. Someone said one time, actually, someone said a lot of time, don't sweat the small stuff. And by the way, it's all small stuff. So if we can step back a little bit and take an eternal view of what things are, that will help us keep laughter and see in the lighter side of almost everything. Our thoughts. What makes things so doggone serious? You know what? Sometimes that's really not so healthy to always see the serious side of everything. So we may find that so much of this stuff around us is really the small stuff. It just seems that the small stuff has a way of mounting up. Okay, now you are on this call right now and you know what it's like to have things mount up. It may not be the very thing that makes you lose it, but it'll be maybe the small things added on top of it. And then one time that boom, that one little thing was just too much and we have a tendency to lose it. Jillian says, laughter is the best medicine. Don't you know? And Pat says, I think to always choose laughter when possible. Absolutely. Think laughter, think humor. I want to tell you about an example that I have of things mounting up. I'm going to tell you this time about my son, Brian, when he was playing football in the backyard with his friends. And Brian, fell really hard on some metal edging in our yard, and he tore his knee up really bad from side to side. And I limped him to the hospital with triple layered stitches and was there for 2 hours with him as he screamed, holding him down and getting stitches. And okay, this is what happened. You guys, anybody's mom, you know this. And his dad was at home. He passed out in the driveway when he saw all the blood. So now the next day, okay, next day's happened, and I go into the pantry, get a jar of peanut butter, dropped it, broke it, and then I lost it. I mean, I lost it. And I'm not talking just a little loss. I was screaming, I was crying, I was using English I probably shouldn't be using. It's probably not actually even English. And you know what it is? It's the small stuff. Now it's funny now, but I'll tell you, it wasn't funny then. Okay. Now another story that I want to tell you about, and I wanted to have you see where you see yourself in this story. Do you see yourself as the girl, as me, as the group, as the people on the escalator? I want you to see how you see yourself. So one year at a leadership conference here in Denver, it was held at the lower ballroom space of a beautiful, beautiful hotel. And one of my friends who had recently moved up to a very prestigious position, she was invited to attend. And because her suit had not yet arrived, she decided that she would go out and she would wear a beautiful, and find it, and she did, beautiful red flowing silk dress with a matching hat and shoes. And it must have taken her a lot of effort to find this, but she did, and it was elegant. I admired her attention to detail, like, wow. All right, now I got to tell you, she was often late. I mean, often late to everything, and today it was no exception. And at the break, all of us gathered outside in the lobby where the escalators were. And we could see that she was coming down in all her glory on the escalator, right at the top. Yeah, perfectly styled blonde hair. A fabulous dress that seems to stop time. And we all stopped and glazed at this would-be model on the escalator. Now, I want to take a little break for just a second and tell you that I'm going to tell you the vision of what Louise is like. Louise was a very sturdy girl. She stood just under 6 feet tall, and to say that she was a little on the heavy side would probably not be giving her much credit. Okay, now I've got to tell you also that I had the privilege of training her and having her as a great friend, and we knew each other pretty well. And I'm trying to be kind as I tell you this story, but simply, she was like a bull in a china closet. When she walked in in a door, things fell off the wall. I don't know why, but they started falling off the wall. Pictures would come off the end tables. Lamps would fall over. It was like watching a puppy, a big puppy with a long tail in a very small house all the time. Okay, back to the story. Louise likes shoes, and this occasion was she loved shoes. So as she was coming down on the escalator, of course she wore these very beautiful, very pointed shoes in probably a size too small. Okay, so as she came down the escalator, I noticed that she was perched in this take my picture pose. And she was not looking. Nope, she was not paying attention. So I just about started to shout her name to watch out. And by now she was at the end of the escalator and her toe of her shoe caught the teeth of the escalator and sent her into a perfect somersault. Legs up over her head, her bottom was up, and underneath it all, the red silk dress, boom, over her head. And there were, I saw it, white, tight Spanx, and everybody else saw it too. As her butt went up over her head and her hair and her hat went flying, oh my gosh, it wasn't all of the scene because businessmen were in back of her and they were all trying to avoid her now. They were looking someplace else. They were grabbing their suitcases. They were walking backwards up the escalators. It was not a pretty sight. It was horrific, actually. It was a horrific sight, a sight in front of us. But you know what? They kept going and backing up the escalator, and she did not move right away. And they did not pass her back. They did not pass her by. They just kept backing up. It was quite a sight. Quite a sight. So by now I'm in a full run in a pencil skirt. Okay, try that sometime. Full run in a pencil skirt towards the escalator. And before I got to her, she forcibly put out her hand like this, forcibly, and with a thunderous voice yelled, "Stop!" And I did. She grabbed her hat, put it back on her head, pulled herself up into a crawling position, and then stood up. And I'm about 5 feet away from her at this point. And she said audibly for everyone to hear her, "Well, that's just not like me at all." And she marched towards the conference room. Now, to this day, every time I put on my white Spanx, I start to laugh because of that scene. Those tidy girdle, I mean, the sight of that, right? It still gets me today. So let me ask you a question. Where are the lessons you saw in that for you? What are the lessons? What would you be? Would you be her? Would you be me? Would you be the crowd? Would you be the people on the escalator? Where do you see yourself today? Okay, now I'm going to see what y'all are telling me about here. See if I can find your comments. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay, Jillian, you're the best. Last comment I'm seeing here. But I want to ask you this question. Where do you see yourself? Because when you learn to laugh at things, even when you know someday, okay, girl, this is going to be funny someday. Let's make that someday sooner. We're in a world right now where seriously everything. We have pandemic, we have social unrest like never before. We have an election where there's a lot of things being talked about. But what you are in control of is you are in control of your attitude. And I'm here to tell you that the better your attitude, the better the outcome will be. The more you can laugh at something, the more you'll get other people laughing too. So be the first person to find some humor in almost everything of your life. What I can tell you, it's going to keep you young, my friend. It's going to keep you young. Take those stories that you have that someday, well, maybe someday they're going to be funny, and let's make them funny faster. Okay, you guys, wishing you a fabulous rest of your day. Thanks for joining the Rich Girl. And yes, thanks for also talking to me today. And as soon as I get off this program, I'll respond to every single one of you. All right, you guys, love you so much. Have an incredible day. God bless. Bye-bye.